In this video, we strive to remain spoiler-free, discussing only story and plot elements from the books relevant to what has occurred already on the show. When necessary, a spoiler warning with a countdown will be given.
Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Max, and of course this is What the Adaptation. You'll see tonight that there is no Glenn. He's vacationing or something, off with Jaskier and Siri this episode, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. Obviously this is Jim in the upper left-hand corner with Fantasy of the Ages, or For the Ages,
everybody.
sorry.
How you all doing?
Anything new with Jim?
Good to see you.
Oh, there's always something new with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just glad to be here again today, as we get to talk some more Witcher. For those who don't remember me from the other episodes that I've been on, because there've been a few now, I am Jim with Fantasy for the Ages. I do a show with my son Zach. We have a YouTube channel where you find most of our content. We talk about Wheel of Time and other nerdy, geeky stuff we feel like talking about, wherever the randomness leads us, including The Witcher. We've talked about that, but we haven't broken down the episodes like you're doing here, so it's fun to come talk with you today.
Yay. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you coming on to help flesh out our show without Glenn being here. So since he's busy partying, I'm glad you could focus up and he being here with us. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Well, if we're ready to start, tonight's episode is Season 3, Episode 5, The Art of Illusion. It was directed by Lonnie Perestier. I'm probably butchering their name. They're known for directing 8 episodes of The Warrior, 7 episodes of Banshee, and 9 episodes of American Horror Story.
Ooh, I've heard of that one.
It was written by Claire Higgins. They've written 9 previous episodes of The Witcher and were involved as a writer's assistant, for other shows such as Bridgerton. I wonder why that could come up in this episode at all. And The Umbrella Academy.
Ah.
In this week's episode, Geralt maintains eye contact. Yennefer makes Geralt do the vertical tango. Meanwhile, Ciri took a nap, and Dijkstra insists Geralt picks a side.
He did. That's true.
So what do you all think of So what did you all think of this week's episode?
This was a heck of an episode. Loved this one. Man, best one so far.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. Definitely an improvement, because I know last episode I wasn't raving too much about it. So I knew and had hope the whole time. I was like, it'll be good next episode, and it definitely was. So it was definitely better than the previous weeks. I feel like they could have had more new dialogue each time they went around, which they did, but it wouldn't even, I guess, more. So we'll get into that later. So yeah, it was kind of cool. It was an interesting twist for sure.
I enjoyed it, but one part that always kind of annoys me is when, not so much the new dialogue, it's when you have, like, say, the fight scene, and also it's like, it was a very short fight scene at first, and all of a sudden it became a very long fight scene.
Oh yeah. Well,
and I was like, wait a minute, that was not right. So it's like you have parts where it's just like the events you see the first time are very short, and they keep getting longer and longer and longer. It's like the time frames don't quite match up.
And yet, that, as devil's advocate, that could play into the different perceptions that you're getting. Because people's memory differs. Everybody sees things a different way. So it could be completely that you're right and they blew it, but there's a way to color it that says, no, this works.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I wasn't bothered by that. I really enjoyed the different perspectives and getting little extra pieces of this and that. And, you know, the first time it went through the scene, you knew you weren't getting everything.
Oh yeah.
And then they start repeating, and I'm like, aha, I see what they're doing. So I thought it was very well written.
Yeah, see, I don't mind the extra details. It was just like sometimes when it goes from like a 2-minute scene, and a 2-minute scene becomes 10 minutes. The next scene, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just me.
No. I kind of felt that,
Yeah.
but I see what both of you guys are
Yeah.
saying. To me, it was more just like a little heavy-handed with we've got to start in the same exact way so the audience make sure you understand that you're going to be set up for a different thing. I was like, it's a little heavy-handed. I already understand kind of what's going on. Like, let's go. Like, know what I'm playing. It was good though. It was good.
So the first question of the night: of all the changes from the source material, what are some you enjoyed and what are some you disliked?
I will go probably first with this one. The only thing I would probably say is with the source material, like you didn't have as much yen setting everything up, and the ball was just kind of like that. It was just a ball. There wasn't like any sort of particulars going on about as much plotting or anything that you get anyway, at least with the show. So that was kind of cool. It became absolutely more political and very yen centered because of course it's her like finding out the Stregobor is bad, I guess, also during it, which was just completely different. Because remember, Stregobor wasn't even in the ball or having anything to do with this in the books. So I was like, I wonder how they're gonna do that. But they did a pretty good job. I enjoyed how they played him, and especially that whole scene where they were like accusing him and he was just like, what? Like he was very adamant, but I guess we'll get to that part later. So I get to what I enjoyed. But yeah, I liked the political differentiation and the point of the ball between the books in this. That's what I'll say for the answer. Yeah.
Jim?
There were lots of little pieces of the ball where I'm like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that person acting like that. They drew from different elements from the book enough that I was entertained with recollections. But a difference that I appreciated was I felt like Geralt was more actively involved in the manipulations, the things that were being done to play out this plan of Yennefer's here than in the book. He was a little more used in the book. Willingly, he went along, whatever. But I liked him having more agency in the way the TV episode did it.
Can't really say whether I liked or disliked, but it kind of felt like they took a lot of stuff from was it Vilgefortz from him and put him on the Dijkstra.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the conversation about picking sides. Like they took that from the mage and put that on Dijkstra in this episode, which is obviously, how to put it, important for the setup and finale of this episode. Especially where the Stregobor and pinning it on him. This comes in play for later episodes of season 2.
Sure.
I've only caught up to what we've been talking about as far as the show goes, so I'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm going along from week to week, so yeah.
Yeah, I have to just to tie in what you said there with Max with Dijkstra having a little more basically.
Yeah,
I kind of enjoy that because I really like that actor and how well he's portraying that character. So yes, give me more Dijkstra. Give me more. That's working for me.
I agree. I like him as well.
Just butchering names tonight.
It's okay. It happens.
See. My memory on this whole dancing is just all botched. When the season came out, I was like, screw it, I just watched the rest of it, and like I'd say the majority, like between this episode and like next 2 or 3, is like complete blank. But then like the last half of the last episode, like, oh, I remember this part. I know this exact scene. It's just like the book.
Okay.
So it's like I don't remember much about this, and I had to go back through. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I know what's going on now. And like it seems like it's close-ish areas, but there's parts that are just like I have no idea who half these people are at this point.
every episode I forget a character's name, and you all have to remind me. So don't worry, even though we see them literally every week and we're talking about the same characters every week, I always forget someone. Like a couple episodes ago, I forgot Dijkstra's name completely. He's been in there. He's been a part of like The Witcher since season 1. So it's like we've talked about him a billion times. I'm just like, all right, what's the bald-headed guy with the chain around his him like Dijkstra, yeah. So don't worry about it. It's okay.
If anything, it was interesting. Like this was a very, how do I put, we had very little like Nilfgaard in this episode.
Very little.
True.
References to them, but like we didn't really see their direct hand.
No, we didn't.
That we know of in this episode.
It's true. That's true.
And it's like we have the Art of Illusion was the episode? Yeah, the Art of Illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And like the song was like don't trust your eyes, or don't believe what you see, or something like that.
Yep.
And then you have Vilgeforth saying like, believe what she's saying.
Yeah, which is the direct opposite of what the
song
bards...
is playing.
Yeah. The two opposing. Oh yeah, believe everything that you see. Just trusting with your eyes. It's like literally the
very,
that's funny.
very, yeah. It was very well stood out there.
That's true. Even though I missed it, but now that you bring it up, obviously, I'm like, okay, yeah. So you know what? Maybe they need to be more heavy-handed with viewers like me, because I did not pick up on that. But I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
Well, I mean, how much you love those bards last week?
Did not. The answer is no. I was like, of course they're going to be at the ball, because that's where bards are, and you already know from the previous episode that they had the invitation and they're going to be there. So I'm like, I'm going to see more of them. Yay. But they were just like, even though they were in the background singing a lot, and they did the one pan scene where they, kind of danced in front of the camera, that was pretty much it. So I was like, okay, I'm all right with that exposure. Like, that's the perfect amount.
They're here. Now let's forget about them. They are background.
They're background. I was like, I could stand that pretty well. I was like, all right.
Perfect segue to our next question. How well did the show interpret the appearance and nature of the costumes, props, scenery, creatures, both practical VFX, and how did you enjoy the music? Because I love the bards in this episode. Like right at the first beginning of it, I just love that song, especially how it countered Vilgeforth, his whole believe what you see and hear. It's like, what?
Yeah, they were an undercurrent to each other. I will say that if Glenn were here is where I would go against him. My favorite costume, and as always in this ball scene, is Triss in the makeup. And I know he said how he hated her makeup, but I'm like, no, she's supposed to have that from the characterizations I've seen before of her, like in the game and stuff. So I actually really enjoyed that. When she came on screen, I kind of clapped. I was like, yeah, that's Triss. I think that they were, sumptuously done. I could definitely tell, I think what Glenn was saying in a previous episode about how the actress that played Yen had lost a lot of weight. Like, she looked very slim to me. So I was like, oh, she's so tiny. Like, she's even like taking food away from Geralt. She's like, don't eat. And I'm like, maybe you need to eat some of that, my friend. Go and eat. It's okay. You can have a couple of those, girl. You've earned it. You deserve it. You're trying hard. But that's what I wanted to be like. But otherwise, I really like the aerial shot of how they had the flaming chandelier, and they looked down from that in the circle on everyone and everything like that. I also love how the cape swished. I was like, yes, I love me a good swishing cape in a fantasy. So that was good to see. Probably the lighting, I don't know if that's partial to this question or not. Maybe I'm getting a little outside the bounds of this question.
Lighting is great.
Candles, the heavy use of them, all different even in Yen and Geralt, when they were alone, lighting the candles and her getting ready near the candles. And then it actually, the beginning shot of the show is just the candelabras, and then you back out from that. I love it so much. It was a really good spooky kind of ethereal kind of festive vibe that you got from it. I really enjoyed all of it. So that was 2 big thumbs up for me.
The costumes were absolutely gorgeous in
Yeah.
this. I mean, it's a ball, so they get to show off the finery, the best, and the attention to detail that went into all of these things is obvious. It just shines through the screen, and everything lent to what we were supposed to feel. There was nothing that was dissonant with the feel of being here in this place at this time. People who were supposed to look powerful looked powerful. People who were supposed to flow flowed. Geralt was Geralt, but classy Geralt. It was just all really nicely done, and I agree with the lighting. There's a hue to this that just plays in well. It's a subtle thing, but I liked it, and people really thought this through well for this episode.
One small caveat, I still do not like Geralt's costume that much, the way it sits on him at all. I think the tailoring was not as good as everyone else's. I will just have to say that. It did look like a little bit of a sofa.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, I know.
Could that not be, though? Again, maybe I'm an apologist for people when they've done things that are wrong, but I don't think he's supposed to look comfortable.
True.
This is not how he dresses. This is not his thing. So in a way, they dressed him in a padded sofa, and he's like a showpiece instead of the Witcher. So I could live with that. And if that was intentional, that totally works for me.
That's funny. I like that. Yeah.
But I don't know if it was intentional. You could totally be right.
I could just picture Yennefer, Triss, and the other ones using him as a sofa. So
yeah, just lay down and they all just sit and drink their wine. And he's like, on the ground.
I mean, she's got a stuffed unicorn, so anything's possible.
I love Triss's hair too. Her hair was like point. It was really pretty. I was like, oh, she looks so pretty.
How about Strigbor's hairdo this episode?
I'm so obsessed with his mustaches. Like every time he's on screen, I see like 90% mustache and nothing else. Like it's like just his little villainous mustache. And I'm like, I just love it so much. And his blue eyes looking out through bushy eyebrows. That's all I can see.
They do have the eyebrows down. That's classic old man eyebrow.
Yep. It was great. That's all I can look at. I'm sorry.
His hair looked like he's going really fast.
Did it? I'm gonna have to Google it now because hold on.
At least this episode. If you go to the ball.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm looking at the images of it for now. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Kind of the wind swept a little bit.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm checking it out. Oh, I found a really good picture of like his back when he's talking to Geralt in a particular shot. Okay, I see it. Yeah, a little bit of wind swept there. He is going really fast. He's a man of importance, of import. It's got to be about his business.
It's kind of going up,
You probably gonna have to bleep this, but he's got that F-boy hairdo. I'll bleep myself for you. So he's got the F-boy look going on. There you go. I won't say the full word.
I seem to remember at the very beginning, Yennefer and Geralt walking in, she said, "Don't talk about hedgehogs."
Is that what she said? I don't remember.
She said something about "don't talk about hedgehog boys" or something like that.
Oh, that's right. It was a little code name probably for
The Nilfgaard.
Yeah. Actually, I remembered his name this time. Oh my god.
That is a good code name, though. That is good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Let's see. The big fire thing was a great VFX, obviously.
Yeah.
No real monsters we saw in this episode. Well, besides Stragobor, but
Well, Glenn was still recovering from a few episodes back with that creature.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have been able to take another monster here yet.
Scenery, we had the entire episode was scenery.
Yeah.
And costumes. And music was right beginning of the episode and kind of became forgettable after that.
Oh, I don't know if we're talking about VFX, but the one thing I like actually audibly gasped at when I saw come on screen, like actually like was taken by, was when she was opening the safe and the little moth or whatever came and fluttered and landed on Strikeable's shoulder, and he looked at it to let him know that someone was in his stuff. That was just phenomenal to me. Like I was like, ooh, I was moved by that. I like that. Yeah.
There is stuff I wonder on that whole safe part, especially when he goes in and like puts his hand in there, like teleport stuff in there, whether that was all true or not.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, my thought was like, what was going on with that blue light when he reached in there?
True.
Because he was looking for that book. You know. So I was like, did Strikeable have this book? Or if he set up to look like he had the book? I don't know.
That is weird.
Even when he watched the future episodes, I'm still not sure.
I was about to say, because I haven't seen anything, like I said, past this. So you're saying it doesn't get answered in later episodes?
It's hard to say.
Oh, okay.
As best I can tell you, it's hard to say.
Interesting. Okay.
Because you could say in this episode he looked surprised at what was found in there.
Yeah. He was. Not sure, because that's not even in the books. Like Star Wars not even, so I don't have anything. Not sure. That's a good question.
Creating mystery.
And of course, we know the bad guy deals with illusions.
He does deal with illusion. You know, it's like, oh man. When I found it in the books, I was like, I did not expect you. I did not expect you whatsoever. So I was wondering, I was kind of like waiting like this the whole episode of how's it going to be done? How are they going to reveal that it's him? So I like the twist, how they did that. That was phenomenal how they did. And I was gaslighting my partner the whole time we were watching it. He's like, oh man, I think it's Tisea. I'm like, yeah, that'd be crazy. She has the book. She's walking away with it right now. She was just setting Strikeable up. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it was great. And I'm thinking to myself, that'd be really cold if it was her. That would be like super cool. I was thinking like, yeah. Anyway, that was a good choice though. A good guess. He's like, I don't think it's Strikeable. I'm like, I don't think it's him either. It was funny.
If he's never read Game of Thrones and you have, that's a great one to watch.
Oh yeah, I had read the book, so I was like, but I actually was reading them at around the same time I was watching the show, so it wasn't like anything like I'm experiencing now. But yeah, that would be the gold show to watch for that, for sure.
I got my cousin with the wedding. I was like, it was a great wedding to watch.
Did you? Oh, that is what a phenomenal feeling of being like, oh yeah, there's this really iconic scene. I'm sure you've heard people talk about it. It's called a Red Wedding. Yeah. It's amazing.
I got
an odd music choice.
Ooh. I got him for both weddings, actually.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Like I said, you got to stick around for the next one. It's even better.
Nice.
And it was the best one to stick around for.
Yeah, true. You got a lot of payoff at that one. You certainly did.
I mean, the first one was brutal, but the next one is that's the payoff.
So amazing. So many wonderful things happen. Some political intrigue for sure. For sure.
All right. So are you ready for the third question of the night?
Let's do it.
What is a scene or sequence you most remember, enjoyed, and or hated?
I'll let Jen take this one first. I have mine.
Well, oddly enough, it's a lot of the same scene, told in different ways. So, to pick out a certain specific part now is a little tough. I'm simply gonna go with an element that's showing consistently through all the scenes. So this is a weird way to answer the question, probably, but how Geralt all the way through stays objective, like he's supposed to as the Witcher. He's not going to take sides. even though he's taking a bloody side the whole time because he's with Yennefer. It's very clear. But in all the different scenes where it comes up, he continues to play that part. I'm not taking sides. I'm not going to pick a side. And each of those little private conversations that happen, he holds true. So I like how he did his role in each of those little tidbits.
I've got a scene that I didn't like the most, and that was the entire dancing scene. And hear me out. Here's why. Just the dancing part. He's like, what is this? And she's like, I forget the name of the dance that she says, but she goes, it's mandatory. And then as Chris and I was thinking it, but then Chris says it aloud. He goes, if it's mandatory, why are there people standing around not dancing? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. So we were watching it. He goes, it's mandatory. Who decides who gets to dance? And he goes, and then I was thinking the whole time, how does Geralt know how to do the dance if he doesn't know what the dance was? And she's like, it's mandatory. He goes, okay. And he immediately starts going into all the moves. And I'm like, it's that scene, like it's a high school prom movie, like, you know what I mean? And you have the people that don't know how to dance that suddenly get on the dance floor and they can bust a move better than anybody else. It's like, this is so hyper unrealistic. But it wouldn't be that big of a deal if they didn't like literally draw attention in the dialogue too. He has no clue what the dance is or what's going on. And she says it's mandatory. And then we were thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's because then Chris and I were like, we halfway through the dance part, we're like, oh, we're realizing it's just couples. So we're like, oh, maybe only the people that are coupled up have to be part of the dance. And they didn't say that, and it's just the thing. But then we looked and we see Tisea and Vinglefort standing off to the side, who are absolutely a couple. And so that threw that theory out the window. So we're like, crap. So we're like, I don't know why if you just didn't say that, if you just didn't have that line, then that would make it a little better. So that's probably the thing I didn't like the most, actually.
There is a way to answer that. Again, I'm the apologist. So it's mandatory because she's dancing. So you darn well better. You're not sitting out, buddy. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Could be how you translate that it's mandatory.
Yeah. Because she said it was.
She's telling him what's what.
Got you. That was a directive from. Okay, that was a directive.
That's how I interpret it. It sounds like Max does the same.
Okay.
And as for knowing how to dance, yeah, you're right. A little bit unrealistic. And yet, these are court dances. These are things that have commonalities, typical moves. Geralt's been around. He's seen, okay, we hold our hand like this sometimes. We turn like this sometimes. It's kind of their version of square dancing, and certain moves just always happen. So he could fake it.
The Cupid shuffle.
He probably should have stumbled once or twice, but,
well, to be fair, he can, do his whole sword dance thing and cut off 8 people's heads in, half a second. So
True.
He's got moves.
Yeah. He was trained in Bravos. He could do sword dancing very well.
Not today.
Not today.
Depending how he can perceive time and all that stuff, maybe he can see what they're doing before they even know they're doing it. I don't know. He's cheating.
It's true. It's true.
Sounds about right. Yeah. It's just an illusion.
He can hear them before they know what they're doing.
The footsteps he can count. Yeah. He can measure.
He's like a bat.
It's so hard. I'm sorry. One of you always cracks up each episode. Okay, I wasn't expecting that, to be fair. Okay. I had no idea you would say that. That's funny. just seeing with his head kind of half cocked, trying to listen to people around him, like kind of close his eyes. Anyway, that's great.
He should have drank a potion before this, so he has those black eyes.
That'd be cool. Like, what? He's that enhances the costume more. He's got the little striated, like black, like crazy eyes.
Black eyes. Black. He's got the voice. Just put a cowl on. Yes, I'm Batman. There he is.
There he is.
I mean, that's what we do in the video game.
It's true.
Drink a few potions, make sure you did the best at the dance. So
there you go. That's true.
Yeah. In the cutscene, your eyes are just jet black and you're bleeding through your nose, and everyone's like, "This is normal."
Yeah, he's a Witcher. What else is he supposed to look like?
I do.
That's what I live for.
Right. Question. I didn't do my scene.
Yes. Tell us. We want to know.
Oh, see, the one I enjoyed. I did enjoy seeing Geralt get his ass kicked a little bit.
That was funny. They took the punch.
Yeah. Little play acting there, but yeah.
Mhm.
The scene right at the beginning where he's trying to maintain eye contact before getting a little mind intruded.
Yeah, that was good.
And then his little conversation with trying to see if I get the name right here. Vilgefortz?
Bilgefortz?
Vilgefortz, yeah.
Bilgefortz or something? Mhm. I
Talking
like
about
that conversation a lot.
talking about the painting about the first,
Mm-hmm.
I really
sorcerer.
enjoyed that.
That was a
Yeah.
good scene.
I love that scene, actually. It's probably one of my favorite. Good choice.
And of course, we can't forget about the bards.
Yes, we can.
Question is, where did they go the rest of the episode? I don't know.
They were hauntingly calling out, just out of screen after that one cameo.
Out of Scream?
No, I'm saying like joking, like how you hear the noises or the bards singing even when they weren't on.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all I meant.
All right. Question 4. How well written was the dialogue? Did it adapt the dialogue from the books well? Did the actor deliver those lines well?
I would probably say that the dialogue was written really well. It's hard to adapt a lot of the there were some things that were spot on like from the book, but the things that they had to write that were not in the book whatsoever, again, like I mentioned earlier, the conversation with Stregobor and everything with him had to be completely like fresh for the show. And that entire like situation was actually written pretty well and I think handled quickly. It wasn't too drawn out, but very believably. And yeah, I think that was the tension building up to it, everything that they were discussing, kind of like the political talks they were all going around each other, talking to each other about. That was actually really, really well done. I'm okay with that, actually. Yeah,
I
so I'd
agree.
have to say
Yeah.
it's good.
The
Yeah.
things that they added in, the way they adapted it, all lined up right. So
I always put it like in this particular episode, they had some of their best actors in this episode.
Yeah, it was
all
good.
lined up. So I didn't have any of the weakest actors supporting it, but it was all their best actors really
I
talking to
agree.
each other. And I think if you gave them like AI script, they probably could have still nailed it.
Yeah, they were doing. Hopefully that won't become a reality.
yeah, let's
But
not talk about AI scripts. Come on now. Jeez.
I mean, if you've seen Black Mirror, I mean, come on. But
no, I haven't had the displeasure apparently.
but I know it's like I think even if you gave them really badly written dialogue, they
Mhm.
probably still could have nailed it for acting. They
I
could have
agree.
sold you, a pen in a desert with their
Mm.
lines of dialogue.
Mhm. I agree with you completely. Yeah, they did very well with that. They carried that. Well, their characters are believable. I have a favorite one of them, but I'm going to save that to the question of who was your favorite actor. So I have already a favorite of those encounters. I'll let you know when that comes up.
And it's like even the what was it, the two sorceress ladies that kind of sort of approach Geralt, who may be like the weaker of the actresses we see here.
Mm-hmm.
We only really see them for like that one scene and they kind of leave.
Yep.
We don't really see them much after.
Mhm.
The ancient sorcerer guy who is extremely old.
Yeah, I liked him. He was he was very like Kung Fu Master.
I don't think he has dialogue. I think he just looks old. I think that's his whole thing.
He did a great job of being the Miyagi of the event. I will tell you that.
That's the great Kung Fu Master. He's got the total look. Absolutely.
If he can pull off looking like he's gonna fall asleep, that's his job.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he, did the casting. Like he fell asleep in the room.
His were the only eyebrows that beat Stregobor's.
Right?
That was so crazy. I loved him.
It's like, dude, it's your turn. The audition, it's your turn. He's got the part.
He needed to be training Uma Thurman in the corner and stroking his beard and telling her to punch through a wall right in front of her. Anyway, I'm sorry. It was a Kill Bill reference. I'll go back to it.
I got it. I caught it.
Yeah. reminded me of him.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything for dialogue or?
No?
Nope.
Well, then question 5 is, who would you call the best and or worst actor in this episode?
I have mine. I'll let Jim go first. Like I said, I definitely have mine. Let me look up the actual actress's name. That way I can cut out a step for Max. Hold on one second.
Well, Max, you haven't gone first any of these times. Why don't you go first this time?
Oh, let's see. Who would I call the best actor or actress in this episode? Could always pull out the Vilgefortz this episode. Would be just had his name here. Mahesh Jadu. I can't pronounce it. He's the actor for that. He seemed to do a pretty good role at that. And of course, then you got Stregobor, who's Lars Mikkelsen. Who just pulls a fantastic bad guy you just want to punch in the face. Just
love it.
Just fantastic at that role as Stregobor. Even after, not really seeing him since like season 1, really, he still pulls that, itching to have, start shititis,
Yes.
He's just he's begging Geralt to just punch him.
Absolutely.
That was really funny. Yeah, he did a really good job, actually. He totally did.
Yep. Well, I talked about the one I really enjoy every time I see him, and it was true here too. That's Dijkstra, Graham McTavish. I think that's how you say his name there. Yeah. And he channels that character so well. So I definitely enjoyed his performance here. It was a smaller performance than some of the others, but what he did, and he was there multiple times, was spot on again. I didn't really have one I didn't like.
They were all really good
their
actors.
Stuff really well here.
I will probably agree with Max that the other dark-haired lady that was trying to approach Geralt at the beginning is probably, like you say, the weakest. I forget her name. And I didn't have the time just now to look her up, but yeah, even in the weakest wasn't weak. It's just that she really didn't have a lot to really do or say.
Yep.
By the way, I was able to look up the actress's name and the character's name, because again, I forget the characters' names, but I have them both here for my favorite. The lady that played Philippa Eilhart, the lady who was talking with Yen. Cassie Clare is the actress's name, and she just did aces, because up to this point you hadn't really seen her try to be genuinely not nice, but not pleading either. She did a really good job of trying to make her case heard to Yennefer with a place of sincerity. I think that's the word that I'm looking for, and I haven't really seen a lot. I've seen cunning and manipulation and backstabbing and that sort of thing, but her actual sincere plea was kind of a different vibe for her for this episode, and seeing that was really good. Seeing the actress said nail, because she really didn't have that before, so it was kind of a new side to her for this episode specifically. I really liked that. I'd say she's my favorite, because I thought I thought honestly that she would just kind of blend into the background, but she didn't. She actually stood out with their few minutes in an episode full of very strong characters. She did a really good job.
And her outfit also stood out.
Oh yeah, her little. I like how she's like, "Did you catch a mouse?" Like, it was really funny. I really liked her big, like, black feathered, I don't know, cat contraption. It was really funny. She even pulled that off well. Like, on a normal person, that would look even goofier, but somehow it didn't look too goofy on her. I was like, oh, she can actually kind of vibe with this. That's so weird. So I haven't named her as my favorite yet for any episode, so this is a first for her. So ding, 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 ringing endorsement for her. Yeah.
If anything, like looking at the background picture, all the ladies are wearing these extravagant outfits, and the guys are just kind of wearing
Capes.
black and like white collars, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The tuxedo of the day.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
got the old guy with the giant eyebrows.
He's amazing.
And
All
Geralt
right.
with a sofa.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the sofa shirt with the zipper, which I was like, wow, they have zippers. That's amazing. Anyway,
I just figured it out. It's so they can sell sofa merch.
that's right. I can go around pedaling at the same time. That's
They're
perfect.
just gonna sell a giant Geralt sofa.
Yeah. You know what? In a way, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's best that Yaskier wasn't a part of this because he would have drawn a lot of more attention to himself with his silliness and antics, and it was kind of more about everybody else. So maybe it was good that he's not in this episode. Now that I'm reflecting on that, I was like, oh, you know what?
It would have been the wrong tone.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so it worked out. Yeah.
All right, our last question of the night. Themes. The themes present in this episode. Which ones caught your attention and what did you think of those themes? Are they relevant to the books or events happening in real life?
Oh. Um, probably
Cake.
cake.
Let the
Cake?
yeah, eat the rich. Cake.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
no.
Yeah.
Just making shit up. Don't mind me.
I would probably say like just conflict, like good versus bad, and the power of choice, I guess. That's important because everyone seemed to feel like no matter which side that you were on, or they're on like Vigelfortz's side or even Stregobor's side, like they really feel that people have a choice to choose their dastardly deeds or not. And even if they were evil, their pleas for being heard and were very genuine, and they really feel that even if they were doing evil stuff, it was for the, I guess, in their mind of how the world should work, a greater good. So they because that whole thing with Vingelfortz, I think I'm saying his name correctly. I could be, like you say, butchering it, but when they were by the painting and he was going on about being an orphan for so long, and he really feels like it's important to choose, and things like that. I felt that it was coming from, even though he was a bad person, a sincere place. So I guess the theme I would say is probably the power of choice and the angel and the devil, I guess, both sitting on your shoulder in a room and you having to decide which one you were going to pick, because obviously Geralt's not going to join the crony organization by any means, but they were still thinking him and Yen could potentially be persuaded to making different choices. So I would probably say that.
I had a couple of themes that come out. One being you can't believe everything you see.
Yes.
Pretty obvious. I mean, even through the title here.
Yes,
But,
perfect.
But also actions speak louder than words. We get a lot of words in this episode.
Yes.
And a lot of it is bullcrap. You can't believe what's coming out of that person's mouth.
Yeah.
But the actions people have taken over time, that's what you can trust. That's what you can depend on. Not what they say now.
Agreed. Thank you for that. It was very obvious. Like, don't believe everything that you see and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, duh. It's perfect, actually. That's the
Good
overlying
life
thing.
lessons for us. Unfortunately, we can't believe everything we see, nor can we trust in everything people say.
It's true.
I think that's two obviously major themes of this episode. We got the choice of picking sides. You can't remain neutral forever, and that's kind of the theme of the series.
Yeah.
Geralt's been neutral, and they're always telling him to pick a side. And he's refused to.
Switzerland. Yeah.
And, it's clearly going to come to a head at some point. And, what Jim said.
Yeah.
Other themes, we kind of got this opulent whole dance thing going on. all these heads of state going to this whole meeting, kind of disregarding what everybody else is going through while war is basically almost raging. We're going to be raging on,
Mm-hmm.
while having their all machinations and plots against each other, disregarding that, they're trying to be allies. And of course, we see how that ends in this episode with a knife to the throat for not picking a side.
Mm-hmm. 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 Good way to end it there with the end of the episode and the knife to the throat. I like that. I didn't see that coming. Good job, Max. I was like, oh yeah, literally. Knife to the throat.
Mm-hmm.
Cliffhanger. Is Carol gonna die?
Which was a good place to leave it for a few weeks.
Right? But yeah, it's like kind of running out of themes on this whole thing, but like that's kind of what we got here.
Mm-hmm.
We have Geralt and Yennefer have their trust,
Mm-hmm.
and they trusted each other quite a bit this episode.
They certainly do.
In the bedroom, in the bathtub.
I was like, such a game reference. I'm like, Yennefer's actually joining her in the bathtub this time. In the game, she's away and not in the bathtub, but they're putting her in the bathtub. That's very good.
Dancing together.
You get a big L bomb in this episode too. A big one from Geralt. I was like, whoa, he said it. He said, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
There is another cliche that applies here, and we don't see it to its fullest. We can assume from this episode it'll come later, but united we stand, divided we fall.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got Geralt and Yennefer, they're united, but wow, everybody else, it's a conclave. We're going to bring ourselves together. Yeah, how's that working out? Maybe not so good. Guess what happens next then? I mean, divided we... Okay.
Yeah. I like that. Mm-hmm. Kind of you and me, baby, against the world kind of also type thing. Is their trust versus... Because imagine if they had to have trust, because imagine if they didn't. Imagine if they started off this episode with the same trust level in each other as they did at the beginning of this season. You big yipe. That wouldn't have worked out. So it just came out where they trusted each other just enough.
And this is a good thing.
Yeah.
I feel like something should be said about like the whole eel situation in this episode, or what they do with the eels. With they sacrifice the students to be eels to like power the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you got this magic floating fire ring above them that they're just powering with that magic.
Yeah.
So they're just literally wasting magic to have a big fire ring.
Sad.
They killed these hundreds of girls over the years.
Poor eels swimming.
The arrogance of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorceresses, good people, good family people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you want them to continue doing what they've been doing.
Exactly.
Hope the conclave makes it.
And we know Stragobor's a monster, but yet they can't see themselves as monsters, as they're putting useless displays of magic above them, powered from girls they've turned into eels.
A good, really dark point.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I would never consider that. It's a good thing. I think you're the only one that said anything about that I know of. That's awesome, Max. Yeah, for true. Yeah.
So, like I said, cake.
I agree. Cake. Let them eat. Yeah, it's kind of eat the rich kind of situation, huh?
That's all I got.
Well played.
I like it. Yeah, well played. Agreed.
Next week's episode is titled Everyone Has a Plan Till They Get Punched in the Face.
It's a great title.
I don't think it's Stregobor that gets punched in the face.
I don't think it is either. Maybe it's Geralt again.
God, I wish it was Stregobor.
Yeah. He just has a very punchable face. Maybe it's the mustaches, maybe it's the hair, maybe it's the eyebrows. Maybe it's all three.
And the unfortunate part is when you do see the episode, you're like, Why couldn't it have been Strangmore?
Oh, so it's not. Spoilers.
Or
I
maybe
actually
it
haven't
is,
seen
and
it.
that was a red herring. You
Ooh,
don't
Could
know
be.
until you watch it.
that's true. That's true. That's true. It'll be a good episode, I know, because it's the conclave. So I kind of am looking forward to it, knowing the future of the conclave anyway, and what happens.
I watched
So
it
I'm
earlier
wondering how they're gonna
today.
do
I
it.
won't give any spoilers, but you're not wrong. It's a good episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
excited about it. I'm very glad to have to come on and talk about this episode with you guys, because this is very, it's kind of a deviation from what we've seen in the previous Witcher seasons, like with the whole dance and the whole thing with the sorceresses, but it was kind of cool. So yeah. I
Very
guess
cool.
before we go, is there I mean, do you want to plug where people can find you, Jim, and that sort of
I
thing?
would
Like,
love to again. We try to make it simple. So YouTube is the go-to spot for us. Fantasy for the ages. Just we're the only ones out there with that. Now, fantasy for the ages. Find Zach and I
FOR,
there. FOR. But on
not for.
Twitter, it's with the number 4.
Okay.
So you
oh,
can, and we're very active on Twitter too. We do have a Discord server as well. So if people want to go to our Twitter, you can find the invitation there or find us on YouTube. And there's the Discord invitation too. We're friendly people. Come on in and talk to us about anything you want. Books, movies, cats, whatever.
that's very cool. Yeah, I like that you're set up because it's you and your son, correct?
It is.
I like
And
that.
we are just about 30 years apart. He sees the world a little differently than I do, which makes for some good conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah. And where are you guys at now? Like, what's the last episode that you discussed?
Well, there's a couple different things. We're working through, we have 2 different tracks. One track is working through the Wheel of Time deep dive episodes, and we are nearing the end of book 5, The Fires of Heaven.
Nice.
So that's an exciting time. We've got some big stuff about to happen there. The other stuff we do is just a hodgepodge of miscellaneous things. So there's not really a track per se, but I did just record an episode about zombies. If you like the zombie apocalypse literature, you can find stuff there. Zach doesn't care for that, so I tend to do those solo. But there's good ZA lit, I'm telling you. It really is.
I think you and Max could talk about that too. Like, I think we talked about maybe covering Pride and Prejudice and zombies maybe one time.
Ah, yes.
That would be funny.
So that's it. That's where you can find us. Please come check us out. We're good people.
Well, we'll see you all next week. And what's Glenn always say?
Don't forget to be awesome.
That's it.
I'm gonna throw my peace signs. It's awkward peace signs. I don't know what to do with my hands.